All right, I'm home from work today, so I figured I'd clean my Remco Monster collection, and why not document it on my channel? Which is basically what my channel's about. It's just about documenting all the shit I own and some of the projects I do. I don't expect you to subscribe. I don't expect you to thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. I don't even want your Patreon money. I'm just doing this for fun, so I'm probably the only guy who fucking looks at this shit anyway. So anyway, here's my vintage 1979 through 80, I think 1980 Remco Monster collection. These are the 3 3/4 inch figures. I have a small collection that's not obscene, but it's my collection and I enjoy it very much. So I'm going to go through it real quick as I clean this stuff. So this is the glow. They have a few variations. Now I'm not going to go through too much history. I'm not even doing any research on this. So this is all from my memory. But there's a few videos out there. I'll link to them at the bottom of this video that do a better presentation of the history of these figures. One's by Count Stankus, and then the other one is Retro Blasting does a pretty decent video. So check those out if you want to delve deeper into it. This is just a real quick rundown of what I got. So this is the glow-in-the-dark series. These aren't graded in any way. They're just in protective cases. They released 6 of these, and they have I think 3 variations, and I'll post them up in the video. I think they have 3 variations: the glow-in-the-dark, the non-glow, and then they have these transition cards with a like a starburst in the background of the figure right here. And then I've discovered recently that there's actually a few other card variations, I think from Canada. I'm not really going to get too much into those because I don't really know much about it. But there's a really good Facebook group that I'm a member of, and they're constantly posting all these like crazy things I didn't even know about. So anyway, this is Dracula, the Wolfman and Frankenstein. I have the whole series in glow-in-the-dark and non-glow-in-the-dark. I'll show you those in a minute. My loose collection is a little ghetto. They got the nose rub. They're not in great condition, but I use it to display the play set that they sold for this set of figures, which I'll show you in a bit. So let's go through it real quick. The best part of this series, I think, or not the best part, but one of the best parts is the artwork for the cards, especially the Dracula one, because they actually use Lugosi's image on the card, which a lot of toys you'll notice that they don't do that because of the licensing. But the figure doesn't really look much like Lugosi, so maybe they didn't have licensing for the actual toy to use his likeness. As you can see, he doesn't really look much like Lugosi. So I'm thinking that they probably licensed the Universal Pictures artwork, and then the likeness, which they probably own, I'm sure, and then the likeness the family just didn't give them the rights to use. I don't know why. I mean, they could pretty much make money, but you got to admire that, I guess. They're not sellouts. And then the cape is the same cape that comes with the Phantom, which I'll show in a little bit. Actually, no, it's not. Well, we'll find out. And it's just like a Star Wars figure. Oh, the arms, that's what's the same as the Phantom, which they repurposed these arms for the Phantom, which you'll see in a little bit. But it's still a pretty cool figure, one of the better Dracula figures that I've ever seen, and it's really, awesome. Let me show you the back of the cards real quick, if he stands up. The back of the cards shows you all the figures in the... Oh, I was right. The Phantom does have the same cape as Dracula and the same arms. It's pretty basic. I wish this was in color, but black and white's kind of neat because it's reminiscent of the movies. But that's it. It's pretty basic. This is the non-glow version. Wolfman, I think, is one of the coolest ones too. It's got a really gnarly looking face. The sculpt is pretty interesting. He kind of hunches back. He looks cool in the when you set him up in the play set, where he's kind of like hunched over. I'll show you that, how I set it up in a little bit. And again, the card has a great Lon Chaney. Is that Lon Chaney Jr., right? Picture. This is the non-glow. And there's no real difference to the figures between non-glow and glow in the dark. They just the only difference is the creature, which you'll see in a bit. Frankenstein, of course, everybody's favorite monster. He's pretty cool looking. He's got a lot of detail. The problem with these guys as they get older is the nose rub, as you can see. But this is fine for me because I got, you know, obviously minty ones in the card format, and these are just for display purposes. But if I could find a decent price on Dracula and Frankie without any nose rub, I'd probably pick it up. I was fortunate enough to pick these up a long time ago before prices got nuts, and now it's just out of control. I can't believe what people want for these now. And here's the non-glow version of Frankenstein. You can see him without the nose rub. He kind of looks like, I forget the actor's name right now, but the guy that played Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein. And I think there's a figure of that Frankenstein, which it's not 3 3/4, but it might be like a 6 scale or something. I think I've seen that. I'd like to maybe pick that up one day. If you guys know about that, let me know. See that, man? Look at that. 366 back in the day. Isn't that awesome? Okay, up next in the series is the Mummy, Creature, and the Phantom. And two of these figures, the Creature and the Mummy, really show the differences between the non-glow and the glow. It's not a huge difference, but you can tell there's a difference. Now the Mummy is another one that looks great because of the detail that they added to the bandages and all that stuff. See that? And the big difference is the face, where they added the black detail right here. And that's for the benefit of the glow-in-the-dark paint. If I can get this to charge, I'll show you that at the end of the video, or maybe I'll splice it in here. But basically, when it glows in the dark, you can see the details of the face a little better because of the black outline that doesn't glow in the dark. So that's one of the differences. Let me show you the carded version so you can see what I'm talking about. This guy is a little hard to stand because he's got like a leg that's shorter than the other, and I think they all come like that because everyone I have has that. But here's the non-glow version, and I like the face better here because he looks a little bit more ominous. See that? Without all the detail, the black detail. Very close to the movie, the actor that played him in the movie, which I can't remember right now. I don't know all this shit verbatim, man. I just watch this stuff. I'm not a geek when it comes to that. Star Wars, that's a different story. So, and that's the difference between the Mummy. Now, the Creature shows off a major difference because the glow-in-the-dark Creature is very, very bright, very fluorescent, and he looks cool. He's got great detail. Now, if you're into or if you want to get into like model painting, building and painting, building a creature model is really good if you want to learn how to dry brush, because this guy has so many details, and every time they make a creature, the details are what sells it. And I've never seen a bad creature in a toy format because there's so much. All these little things just add so much to it, you know, all these little bumps and, you know. So when you're painting, if you want to learn how to dry brush, you know, all these little details come out when you start dry brushing. So if you want to get into that, buy a creature model, and that'll really help you out. But anyway, let's get back to it. So it's very fluorescent, and I actually prefer the non-glow creature. And see, I just think he looks way better. You can see the eye details a little better than just those red dots. Both are cool. If you're going to collect this series, the only variant I would suggest is pick up, you know, one of each of the creatures, and you'll be fine. But other than that, they're identical. Let me show you the card for the creature, for the non-glow. And I keep that one in my display case with all 6. So that's why he's in a case. I haven't. I've been thinking about selling off my glow in the dark. That's why I haven't put those in a case. So or put the non-glows in cases yet, because I might want to swap them out and sell my glow in the dark. Just keep these guys, but I haven't decided yet. But anyway, here's the card for the creature non-glow. And finally, we got the Phantom, which I think he looks cool. The face detail on this one is excellent. Look at that. He's got the same cape as Dracula, except this one doesn't have the red interior like Dracula does, but it's the same cape. Same hands or arms, as you can see. And the suit is a little different. Actually, it looks like it's probably the same sculpt. They just, you know, modified it a little bit. And then the non-glow of that is here. And every time I see this guy, I can't help but hum the Phantom of the Opera theme in my head. But he came out really cool. Alright, so that's that. Now, another variant, it's not really a variant, but another set that you can collect. And I only have the Creature, Mummy, and Frankenstein in this set. And this is a 3-pack that came from JCPenney's and back in the day. And they did all, you know, 2 sets, obviously, with each figures, you know, 3 on 3. So if you can find these, that's a cool little thing to collect. I also have the box for it that it came in, a little, you know, paper box. But this is a cool thing to find if you could get it at a reasonable price. Like I said, like prices right now are out of control. Maybe it'll get better, you know, as people like lose interest, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, these things are really getting popular. When I started collecting them, nobody even wanted them. Now everybody seems to want them. And it seemed to have happened right after the Force Awakens came out, and people started, you know, hey, you know, Star Wars figures, I used to have those, and they started buying these up, or the Star Wars figures up, and then, you know, somebody like discovered, hey, what about these? And next thing you know, these things like skyrocketed in price. But this is a JCPenney's mailer 3-pack, and there's another one with the Creature, or I'm sorry, Phantom of the Opera, the Wolfman and Dracula. I haven't found that one. I've never even seen it for available. I've seen people who actually own it, but I've never seen it available. I'm sure that it's very expensive if you do find it. I only paid like about $100 for this set. So let's get on to the play set, which is pretty cool. Okay, so one of the play sets, one of 2 that came out for the series, is the Mini Monster play case, which acts as a holding case for the monsters, and a play set, like a little kind of dungeon looking thing that's real simple. Now back in the day, man, this was high-tech stuff. We loved this stuff as kids, you know. I love these like vinyl play cases. Like they had them for superhero toys, and sci-fi Star Trek had one, and they were just like the shit. You know, now, you know, people aren't gonna, you know, kids today aren't gonna be impressed by these, but this was all we had, and it was awesome. So I have these two, glow and non-glow, and I got an opened one that I use as a display, which I'll show in a second. The non-glow, the only difference between the two was that the glow came with a couple of decals that you would put on the wall here that would glow in the dark. That's about it. I think it was 2 or 3 stickers that you would put on, and that's it. Came with a instructions on how to set it up. You got the handle that you would put on there. A couple of rubber bands that are done. These guys don't work anymore over time, for the Frankie table, so you can strap Frankie to the table. The table would rotate. That's why you wanted to have them strapped. This pole thing that I think is actually for the table. Oh yeah, the table would go in like this. You put the table on here, and then you can rotate the table. And then you would just have to get all these cardboard cutouts to set up the interior, and then you were done. And that was our, I don't know what the equivalent of it is today, because I'm not a modern toy collector, but that's basically what we had, and the rest of it was our imagination. And I was fine with that, man. So they all have detail all around. This door swings open. See that? That's a price tag. Let me set up the entire thing so you can see how it looks. All right, and there you have it. That was our awesome places that we would just like go crazy over back in the 79-80 era. Okay, so here's a more detailed view of the playset. The mummy's coming out of a sarcophagus. You got Drac right there, helming the controls for the table that Frankie's strapped to, and then the table rotates, but my rubber band's fucked up, so I won't be doing that today, and I'm holding it up with some styrofoam underneath. This is why I like the Wolfman's hunchback there, because he's kind of overseeing things. You got the creature coming out of his dank cellar there, and then the Phantom coming through the door, the back door. Some guy made a stop motion thing out of this set. If I can find it, I'll link to it, but it was pretty funny. And then if you had the glow in the dark playset, you would put these overlay decals on, I think the bottle there and the skull. And maybe there was something for the control panel, but it wasn't that big of a deal. So either one you had was fine. And there's the detail in the back. So that's it for that playset. And there's one more playset I'll show you right now. Okay, so this is probably the most expensive piece in my collection, my entire collection, not just my monster collection, my Star Wars, everything. This one is worth a lot of money now. I didn't pay that much for it. Well, I paid a good penny for it when I got it, but nowadays it's going for a lot more. And it's called the Monsterizer. And it's very rare. There's not too many of these intact like this, where it's complete. You'll find them on eBay, missing the cage or missing the strap or missing something. A lot of times the battery compartment's missing, and they still go for a lot of money, like over $600 at least, with in pieces sometimes. This came as a JCPenney mailer in a brown paper box. And also in a really nice packaged version, which I wish I had, but once I got this one, I was like, well, I can't justify buying another one. So that's it. This is the one. All right, let me get you some detail into this guy because people don't really understand what it is sometimes. But basically, what you would do is you'd get one of your monsters, the glow-in-the-dark monsters. This was for the glow-in-the-dark series. And you would strap him into this cage here. You'd crank him up. He would go into this chamber. And you would then, there's this light bulb in there. And it would activate the glow-in-the-dark paint. And then he'd come out and magically glow in the dark. And that was it. It's pretty fucking stupid, isn't it? Pretty simple. This was 1980. This is what we had. We were amazed by the technology. And I got it in this really neat display case with the manual attached to it. So, if you can come across one of these, I would totally pick it up. If you can afford it, and if it's at a reasonable price. But this one's very rare. There's not too many out there. And the ones that do pop up a lot of times are missing items like I explained a little while ago. So that's it. That's my entire Remco Monster minifigure collection. All cleaned up, ready to go back into the display case. Now, I have one more series of monsters that I want to show you that I thought would be really awesome, but didn't turn out to be too awesome. In fact, I'm going to show you two different series of monsters. Another series I'm going to show you because my buddy the Atari Creep made a video about it, and I'd like to show you mine. Why not? You know, just to make this monster video complete with all the stuff that I own that I like. So let's get to it. Okay, these are the reaction figures by Funko, right? Funko makes reaction? Yeah, Funko. And Super 7. And I got really excited when they announced these because I thought they were going to look really cool, but they don't. They definitely don't live up to, in my opinion, they don't live up to the Remco line at all, except maybe the creature. And the mummy looks cool. And for authenticity, I'd say the Wolfman's pretty cool. So if you got to pick some up, you know, Wolfman, mummy, and their creature. But the Invisible Man, even though he wasn't an original Remco figure, I would pick this one up for sure, just because if you want to have, like, you know, figures that didn't show up. I was really excited about the bride, but she sucks. I wouldn't even bother picking them up. Now, the card artwork for these guys is amazing. So I would definitely... The plan was, once I found out that they were terrible looking figures, I was just going to keep them carded, and I was going to make some frame display, like put them all in this giant frame and hang them on my wall, carded. But these motherfuckers showed up, busted right through the stupid bubbles, so that went away. So I just keep them in my display case now, you know, just as filler, just because I have this. Well, you'll see how I display my stuff in a little bit. I have this one section where it looks a little empty, so I just keep them there. But they're not really my favorite group of figures, and I wouldn't really recommend them to you. But the card work, or the card back artwork, is obviously very, very nice. So, don't pick those up if you can. Cool thing is that Comic-Con released 3 of them. I forgot, I don't know which Comic-Con this was at, I forgot. It was in New York, actually. It released 3 of them in black and white format, which is kind of neat. And of course I picked those up. And I picked those up before I knew how terrible they were. But the card work, again, same artwork, but they have this foil kind of look. So that's pretty neat. So if you want any, I would probably look for these 3. because they're kind of cool. Let me get you a little close-up of it. Now again, the creature came out fantastic, because it's hard to fuck up a creature in toy format. Frankie, I just don't like. I don't think he looks cool at all. Looks a little comical to me. And the Wolfman is pretty decent, but that face, man, I mean, I just don't, it's just not, I don't know what, these guys, it's like you're supposed to scare me and you're not really doing a good job. Let me show you the creature in color. See, that guy looks pretty cool. And I like the kind of two-tone green that they used on him. Very reminiscent to the Remco creature. Dracula is terrible. What the hell? It just looks terrible. I don't like it. And then the colored version of... Now, at least, you know, he's got the proper attire. The Remco one just shows him in all brown, so, you know, that's kind of cool. But, again, the face, it's like, hi, guys! It's no, rah, there's nothing like that on it. It's just like, hey. And then we got Phantom's okay, but nowhere near the Phantom from the Remco line. Invisible Man, if you got to get one, pick this one up since this one was never released in the Remco line. It's pretty cool. Although not a very, not a staple movie for the Universal line, really, in my opinion. But kind of neat to have. Mummy came out okay, I like him. You know, again, I prefer the Remco mummy face, but, you know, whatever. And then this one was really disappointing. The Bride. I thought, you know, it would be cool because finally they do the Bride. And I don't know, I just don't think she looks good, you know. You might disagree, and if you do, pick one up. I don't care. But there it is. Now, the other line I was talking about was the Burger King line, which is really cool, to a point, you know. But for Burger King toys, I thought they're really cool. Now, I'm not going to go through the details of these because my buddy Chris made a pretty cool detailed video. And I would direct you to his video, which is linked below, and check it out, you know. And it's a cool little set. Came with these glow-in-the-dark stickers and little information pamphlet. It shows you how to operate the mechanisms that came with it. And the sculpts are okay. This guy, the Frankie table, would glow in the dark, or not glow in the dark, but it had this lever here that would turn on the light behind his head, right here, the LED. But the battery, these are so old that the battery's dead. And the creep might figure out how to open this shit up, and maybe we can, you know, replace the battery. So hopefully he figures out a way to do it, and then I'll be able to light him up. You know, that's a pretty cool. That's a better looking Wolfman than the reaction figure for sure. The creature, you know, he spits water out of his mouth here when he presses button. And once again, it's a terrible version of the of Dracula. Kind of reminds me of there was like a late 80s cartoon or something, monster thing, where they had these, they were Universal monster based, and you know, kind of reminds me of that, which I didn't like, but anyway. So that's it, that's the Burger King set. And the creep turned me on to a Jack-in-the-Box set, which looks pretty cool, that I'm going to try to find. And he mentions that in his video too, so go check him out. And that's it, that's my monster collection. I hope you enjoyed it. This is what it looks like when it's all set up. So like I said, don't subscribe, don't thumbs up, don't thumbs down, or thumbs down, whatever. And don't donate. See ya.